Awesome. Okay, so a very warm welcome, everybody, to. I
Yes.
realize I do this every time I start speaking. I move. Very warm welcome to our fast track to SC call. I'm honored to be standing in for Lauren today, as she's in Australia, and I think it's the middle of the night there still.
Right.
So we have someone very exciting who I have had the honor of meeting so many times, and the honor of calling a friend now through this business, which is great.
Yep.
James Sanderson has been involved with the Juice Plus Company for 25 years.
No,
So
longer, actually 29. Yeah.
29 years. Oh my God, I got it wrong. 29 years.
No, don't worry, don't worry. I mean, it sounds awful, actually, when you really say it, 29. I mean, oh my God. But anyway.
No, I think it's great. It shows such
Well, I mean, it is great.
strength,
It is incredible. It's incredible.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So he's a PMD within the company. And I mean, I asked James for a bio, but I was like, I really don't know what I'm going to say about him. I've been to lots of events that James holds in London, and they're super successful. He always packs the room out. It's great. We've had so much success personally, as I can say, as a team as well, for going to James events, because they always add such value and they always come from such a place of certainty. And I really think that's what you really want to have when you're doing events like that too. And he gets such amazing speakers. I'll never forget Hayley Boucher, if I can say
her. Oh, she was amazing, wasn't she? Yeah.
So good, right? She was
so
awesome.
Humble.
And what I love about James is he makes his team step up. And James is very rarely talking on stage. He's very much like getting other people up to the front and getting other people sharing, which I just think is awesome. So today he's going to share with you his story. And I love James' story. I could listen to it over and over again, because I was telling them earlier about that story where you told me when I think you came to America and then you went back and everybody thought you were crazy because you were talking about this thing from America. And everyone was like, oh, it's never going to work.
Never going to work. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which I just think is hilarious. So I'm going to hand over to James, and he's going to share with you really how he's managed to grow such a strong and sustainable business over 29 years. So if you as a leader, or if you're brand new to this and you're thinking, oh, really, is it going to last? Is this something that's actually going to be able to impact my life? Then we have living proof here, right here, guys. So all the way to London, I'm going to very proudly introduce you to James. Thanks so much for taking the time out for our Fast Track to SC call.
Right, so this is Fast Track to SC. Okay, well, look, good evening, everyone, and it's great to see you, and I just want to give you a very, very warm welcome. I applaud you for being on the call tonight, because you are really taking your future seriously, and not everybody does, and but I, like you, when I first saw this, I saw something so exciting. And I thought to myself, I just must give this my absolute best shot. In actual fact, I determined that I was going to become successful, whatever it took. So that was an important point for me to come to say, like, whatever it takes, I'm going to be successful. So I started off looking at this a long time ago in 1987. So I saw it in 1987 in Dallas, Texas, would you believe? And a friend of mine invited me along to come and have a look at a presentation. And I'd always been quite open-minded about, different ideas. And his name was Luke Lufkin. Really great guy. I haven't spoken to him, for the last 28 years or whatever, because he never became my sponsor. Would you believe that? He never became my sponsor. No. So he introduced me to the idea of it. And so I went along. And at that time, we were in the water business. So this was before Juice Plus. So we used to make in-home bottled water systems, water filters. And I remember when I first went along to this event, it was in Dallas. So like 500 people in this room, 500. And I remember thinking to myself, why do all these people want to become plumbers? I couldn't work it out. I couldn't work out why everybody wanted to be connecting these things to taps. And, it seemed so crazy. But then I heard someone speaking up at the front, and they were talking about, passive income. They were talking about, freedom. They were talking about having the opportunity to really earn what you're worth, but most importantly, being able to just choose what you want to do with your life, rather than being told what to do. And I thought, oh, right, I like this. And so I drove back in my car, and I was in an old Toyota driving along the freeway, lots and lots of other cars on the freeway. And as I was driving back, I remember thinking to myself, I would see a BMW go past, and I thought to myself, because I'd just seen the presentation, I'd seen how great the figures were, and in terms of the numbers, what the money you could earn, and I thought, oh, maybe I could have one of those cars. Maybe I could have that Porsche. Maybe I could, and I thought, don't be stupid. Don't be so stupid. But then in 1993, I was down at Porsche in Reading, just outside London, buying a brand new Porsche for cash from this business. So I only say that not to brag, but just to say that, you know, this business really can work for you. And where there's a will, there's a way. Now you're going to love it when I tell you that shortly after I got the car, I crashed it. I wrote it off. So in the car park of where I lived. So sad story. But what it shows is that this business can really work for you. So I'm just going to really talk to you a little bit about how it can work. Because some people on the call tonight are going to be thinking, well, you know, I don't really feel it's like it working for me as well as I'd like, or I can't imagine how it's all going to build and develop, and, you know, I just can't see it. And so we all come from that point. We all come from that point where we can't necessarily see it. We can't necessarily understand how it's going to happen for us. We can see it happening for other people, but there's loads of reasons why we think it would work for them and why it won't work for us. But then I began to understand and get a grip on some key concepts. And those are the concepts that I want to share with you. The first concept that I bought into, that I realized was one of the keys to anyone's future success, was the fact that the product worked. So the product worked. And therefore, if the product worked for me and it started working for other people, then it could potentially work for a hell of a lot of people. And so I could see then that there was a way through, because I could influence a lot of different people. And what was interesting, you know, with the Juice Plus, for example, was that when I first bought it back from the US, and I first saw it in California when it was first launched, I had a friend of mine who had really bad eczema on his hands. I don't know if you ever, you know, I don't know if you've ever had bad eczema on your hands, or when you've shaken hands with someone who's got eczema and you think, oh gosh, it's a bit rough and embarrassing for them to shake hands or whatever. And I said to him, look, David, why don't you just go on this and see what's going to happen? So he went on it, and he took 2 fruits and 2 vegetable capsules, and it didn't really shift it. And I said, well, look, double it, just double it. And he went up to 4 and 4, and it completely shifted. So when I saw that, I thought, right, this is incredible. So the number one thing was the product. I could see the product worked, right? The second thing I could see was that people were building teams. They were building teams of people. And what I began to realize was that if I worked the numbers, the results would take care of themselves. And what I mean by that is that you've got to, what I began to understand and what my sponsor explained to me, he said to me, James, you've got to get to a point of critical mass. And up until you get to a point of critical mass, it's all going to seem quite slow. So what is critical mass? Critical mass really occurs when you've got about 20 people in your team. Now, you know, some people are going to say, well, I haven't even got one person in my team. Well, you know, we all start from that point, but then we bring in one person and they bring in someone else and they bring in someone else. So once we get to 20 people, our success effectively becomes inevitable. Why? Because if 20 people are each talking to 5 people a day, you're effectively, or 5 people a week, then you're effectively reaching 100 people a day or 100 people a week. And on that basis, you can't fail. So once I got hold of those 2 concepts about the product worked, obviously it worked for me, and also the business worked, and that I needed to get myself to a particular point at which I would have liftoff, then I thought, right, I'm really going to go to work. And so it was very, very important that I then not just got the understanding, but I got the belief of how it could work. And a lot of the time what I see is people don't take enough action because people actually don't necessarily believe it will work. And therefore they're kind of reluctant to take the next step, but also to absolutely go for it. So, you know, what does absolutely going for it mean? Yeah. It means being determined to be successful, whatever it takes. And it means being determined to take all out massive action every single day. So the way it was described to me is that this business is like a plane taking off. So to give an example, let's say that you're going on your holiday, your vacation, and you get on the plane and you're strapped in and the door is shut and you're ready to go. And the pilot says, hey, everyone, I've got great news for you. I can give you some money back at the end of this flight. We're really pleased. I know it's unheard of, but we're going to give you some money back at the end of this flight. And everybody's like, wow, that means I've got more spending money from, going out and partying. This is so exciting. And then the pilot says, well, what we're going to do is we're going to take off. And as we take off, we're using the most amount of fuel as we take off. Just as we take off, and we're about 500 feet off the ground, I'm going to throttle right back and shut the engines down quite a lot. And that'll enable us to save a lot of fuel. But we don't know if we're able to keep climbing, and we actually don't know whether it's going to work. And although we hope we could give you some money back at the end of the flight, we might crash. What's everybody going to do? Oh my God, get me out of here. I don't want to go through this experiment. And it's exactly the same with our business. It's that we have to give it that absolutely all-out massive action. Like a plane, when the engines are going like crazily, when you're sitting in the plane, you think, really the power is on. And the power has to stay on until we get to at least 10,000 feet, at least. And then normally what happens is they then cruise at 10,000 feet and they check everything, and then they put on the power again and you go up to 35,000 feet. So it's a very good analogy to show that if we're going to make this work, we have to give it that serious amount of energy and power. And the best thing to do is to do it within a short period of time. So some people, what they do is they get into the plane and the plane never leaves the airport. So they are literally putting in a huge amount of power, but just trundling around the airport. So they're going around and, onto the runway and then back for a coffee and all that. And they feel like they're putting in a lot of effort and energy, but they're actually getting nowhere. So we have to get to a point where we line up on the runway. We are next in line for takeoff, right? Everything's ready. The engines start filling with power, and then we're on, and we're going to actually take off. So this call is all about going sales coordinator, isn't it? Yeah? Is that correct? Yeah. So in order to go sales coordinator, we basically have to have, ideally, we're going to have 8-10 people in our team, ideally. Now, some people are going to say, well, I don't really need that many. But if you've got that number, what we always say to people, if you've got the people in the team, the volume will take care of itself. So, if we think back to the great success that there's been in the UK over the last 6 or 7 years, what we've done is we haven't taken our eye off the product because we love the product, but we've very much put our emphasis on building a team. And so if everybody really builds a team and builds a team of like-minded people, then the success will really, really come. So what I did was I determined, when I really started going for it, I determined that I would make a connection with 5 new people a day. Now, that wasn't just adding them as friends on Facebook. Obviously, then we didn't have Facebook. But it wasn't just looking someone's name up in the phone book. Or, it wasn't just that, obviously, because that's not really a proper connection. 5 connections every day for me was actually talking to the person and actually making a connection to the point at which they are interested to know more about what I'm talking to them about, right? So whether that be about the product or about the business. And what I realized was that if I did that every day and I talked to 5 people a day, at the end of a week, I would have talked to 25 people. And at the end of a month, I would have spoken to 100 people. Well, then you get to a point where you cannot fail. So most people don't succeed. The people that don't succeed in our business don't succeed because they don't talk to enough people. They take, and I've seen this happen so many times, people say, do you know what? That is my person. That is my key person. And I am going to sponsor that person. Everything is to do with that one person. So I'm going to take them for coffee. I'm going to talk to them. I may even take them out for dinner or whatever, but that's my key person. And then they say, no, I'm not interested. Oh my God. And that's exactly what happened to me. My key person said, oh no, sorry, no, I'm not interested. Oh, what am I going to do? Fortunately, I've made a list of 100 names. I initially made a list of 10 or 20 actually. And I was very, very proud of myself. My sponsor said to me, James, have you got your name list? And I said, yes, I've got my name list. I've made a list. He said, how many have you got on your list? I said 20. He said, James, that is hopeless. You're never going to get anywhere with a list of 20 names. You've got to have a list of 100. So that time we had no Facebook, we had no mobile phones. So, literally I was just writing people's names down from old Christmas card lists and school annuals and all that. But I wrote a list of 100 names. And it was very important that I did, because number 66 on my list was a person that I hadn't seen for 11 years. Now, would you write down someone's name on a list that you hadn't seen for 11 years? Well, I just did out of desperation, because my sponsor said I need to have a list of 100 names. Anyway, I didn't have his telephone number. And then I called him. And this is a guy I'd been at school with. I'd been friendly with him, but not really, really close friends. But I've been friendly. So I've been friendly with him. And I'm so nervous I had to stand up to make the call. And I said, David, I've started my own business, which I'm really excited about. There's too much potential for me alone. I'm looking for a couple of people to come on board with me. I know you've been successful in the past, and I'd really like you to look at this, because I think we could make a fortune with this. He said, okay, all right, let's have a look. That one call has probably made me, I would say, approaching £2 million. That one call. Was it worth making the list? Yes. And the thing about it is that I was prepared to work the numbers. Jim Rohn says, we have to learn to discipline our disappointments, because most people, wait for this, everyone, most people are going to say no to you. And people are going to go, oh, well, you don't know my friends. My friends all love me. Yes, fine. But we learn things about our friends when we start talking to them, that they're not maybe as adventurous as we thought they were. They're not as gung-ho as we thought they were. They're not as supportive as we thought they were. And so suddenly we have people that we're really, really close friends with saying, no, actually, I'm not interested in it. It's not for me. Now, that may not be the case for you, but it probably will be. At some point, people will say no. And more people will say no than say yes. Now, if you can get through that, and that's what I determined to do, I determined to start taking the no's. And someone told me something incredible at one training which I went to, which revolutionized everything. They said, if you go out and get 50 massive, complete no's, you will become a huge success. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? But in there was a tremendous wisdom, because what they meant by that, you've got to talk to someone about the product, and ideally talk to them about the business. And if they say no, you know that you presented it to them, and they've genuinely said no, rather than maybe or no, because I don't know anything about it. So I set out on that path to start talking to as many people as possible. And in the process, I became very successful. But I've got to tell you, all the way along, I felt I was failing really badly. So I've always felt that there are other people much better than me in this. But what I got and what I've been able to maintain is stickability. The ability to keep going whatever happens. Now, I nearly quit after my first year. So after my first year, my team, I'd got a team, but my team had basically collapsed and gone backwards. And, I could see that my business really wasn't going anywhere. In actual fact, it was going backwards faster than it was going forwards. But I was determined to become successful. And so I went to hear Jay Martin speak at the Ibis Hotel in just down the road from here, actually. And he said, what you need to do is you need to go out and find a business buddy. A business buddy. So I don't know how many people have got someone that you work with on a daily basis on this, where you're literally able to be on the phone and say, hey, what are you doing? What's happened? And you're sharing your success, but also sometimes sharing your difficulties and challenges. He said, in that talk, he said, this is what will revolutionize your business, having a business buddy. because suddenly you're not on your own anymore. You've got someone to encourage you. When you're down, they're up. When they're up, you're down. And you can just get the synergy. But also you begin to get this massive excitement of, come on, let's do it. Let's make it happen. Come on, what are we going to do next? And you begin to build this bigger and bigger picture of the exciting things that you're going to do. So the guy, number 66 on my list, became my business buddy. And he and I really built something absolutely outrageous. And one time in London, we had 1,200 people at our own meeting. Yeah. It was the most extraordinary experience. We started off in one venue. We kept having to cancel venues because we just were outgrowing the venues. So we ended up in the Central Hall, Westminster, just off Parliament Square, with 1,200 people in the room. So it just shows what can be done. And so, obviously, I mean, perhaps we can open it up to question and answer or whatever you want to do, Natasha. But I just feel that this is such a very, very exciting opportunity. It's a very, very special company. You'll never come across anything like this ever again in your life. But one day in the future, someone will say to you something about Juice Plus, and you might say, oh, I was involved with that 5-10 years ago. What's going on with it now? And then the person will say, what? You mean you were involved with it 5 or 10 years ago and you didn't keep going? You realize what you missed out on? So we don't want to be in that position. I want to be in a position where we really, really make it work. And, I know you can do it. Every single person on the call can become completely financially, independently wealthy through Juice Plus.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my God. I love the way James talks. I don't know if anybody else feels like that. Well,
it's true though. It's really true, but it's all about if you want it. If the why is strong enough, the how will take care of itself.
Yeah. It's so true.
But I love what you're doing. I mean, you've created such a wonderful energy on your team, and every time I see you up on stage, you sort of create this huge excitement, and it's just wonderful. And I can see you building a huge team, and which you already are doing.
Thanks so much. And you know what? It's so funny because what you said about all out massive action, if I can share quickly, guys, like for me, that's something that I've never been scared of hard work. And if nobody ever knows Olivia Measures, if anybody knows Olivia Measures, it was her story that made me join the business. Because I saw this girl that was 2 years younger than me at the time. She's still, 2 years younger now, whatever. 2 years younger than me, and she was earning like 15 grand a month. And I was like, that's money I've dreamt of. Like, what? And I just thought, and I used to be like someone now within my industry, my other job is that I'm a model. It doesn't really pay you to be jealous. So I used to be quite a jealous person. I'm not really like that anymore. And I was very jealous at that time. And I think I just went, I'll never forget. I said to my mum, I was like, I can work hard. I can do that. And I think I honestly had to ask myself, for the first 4 months of my business, I worked so hard and I got to SC, and that's what happened. And then I just kind of went on a lull, whatever, life got in the way, right? But like James said, I just didn't give up. I just kept on going, but I have been in the airport. I love your analogy. I think that's probably the best analogy I've ever heard of Juice Plus. It's so good. And I think that it's really powerful because now, even the last, 2 weeks, really the last week, I have hammered it and I've done, 8 to 10 hours of work every day. And I know that that's not doable for some people that do full-time work. But, off the back of it, like I shared this morning on our team call, we've had 5 new people in our team last week in 5 days. And that's because I got off my ass and did the work, like Lauren says, Goya. And really, that's what I really admire James for, is that, 29 years and he's still like, I'm hustling. I'm going, I'm doing this. Like, he hasn't gone on this lull where he's decided, oh, I've been in it for 29 years. Oh yeah, I'm going to chill. Like, James is at the forefront of the events that happen in London. Like, he's always putting events on. He's always getting new speakers. He's bringing people up all the time, like different people that are coming through the ranks, like as well, not just people that are, high up already. Like, I can't remember who the latest speaker was that had just gone NMD. That blonde lady.
Sanderson. That was an amazing speaker. Did you hear?
So good.
So good. So good.
So powerful.
So powerful. And I tell you, it's very, very, I mean, if we got the time, it's an extraordinary, interesting story, that, because, Lottie Bryan brought in Haley Boucher, and Lottie met Haley at a wedding party. And then Haley came in and totally revolutionized her business. And then Lou has come in through Haley. So, it's just one person, but you just never know when that conversation is going to happen.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
I love the quote. I think I heard it from, I think it was Eric Worre: treat people like a doorway, not a destination.
Yeah.
And it's so true. You just don't know who you're going to meet that's going to, I mean, look at for like Rob Molyneux, and then you have John Holloway, and then you have Katie Ravey, who's now Katie Wren. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just one person that's then like skyrocketed, and then they have a crazy like downline, and it's normally just been like one person that's just gone, okay, I'm having it. And just like you did. And I just think that's amazing that you've managed to just still 29 years. I love that you're just like, I'm in. I love that. I hope I'm like that in 29 years.
I see no reason why not. And I think the one of the great appealing things about this is the personal growth that you go through. I mean, that's the one of the greatest things I find. It's not obviously not just the business and the product, but being around such incredibly positive, motivated people, and being on a life journey where you are just growing all the time. And I mean, it's very, very exciting.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have like, what we're doing lately in the last few weeks is we are setting homeworks for people. So this idea that 3 tasks that they can do after the call that are really going to help them, whether it be, we have a few people that are an SE on the call anyway that have joined. And, whether it could be taking them, to the level of SE, or taking them from SE to the next position. Like, do you have kind of like, I suppose, 3 actions that maybe people can take forward from this?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Obviously, a lot of people I know are very competent with social media, and so that's great. But what I would say is, don't waste your warm market, the people that you already know. So what I would recommend is that everybody writes a list of all the people that you know, and you will just find that just so valuable. And most people, obviously, with social media, I mean, obviously, people have hundreds, thousands of people, but the key thing is to write a list of bare minimum of 100, and then to determine to really do this all-out massive action to make 5 connections a day. 5 connections a day. And what I've learned is that it's so much to do with not just making the connection, but actually building a relationship with these people, so that you build a bridge whereby when you then really do talk to them about something, they say, when you say to them, I think I've got something for you, or, I've got a really exciting business. I'd absolutely love to work with you. Can we take a look at it? They'll go, do you know what? I really like you as a person. Yes, let's look at this. Let's do this together. And I think the third thing is that I would say a really key thing is vision for Liverpool. So, we've got the summer period coming up now. We've got June, July, August, September. A lot of people could kick back and say, do you know what? I'm taking the summer off. I'm going to be on a beach, and I am just going to be getting the rays. Do you know what I mean? And it's a terrible waste. I mean, obviously, we're going to go away for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. But we have a huge opportunity to really, really build up until Liverpool. So my question really is, do the list, make 5 connections a day. And how many people have you, in your team, everybody on the call, how many people are you going to have with you in Liverpool? So if you had 5 people, it absolutely transform your business. If you had 10 people, it would absolutely transform your business. And that's really that's what will make this year a huge success. What happens in Liverpool?
Yeah, it's true. And for the Americans watching, it will be in Indiana. I think I'm right.
Yeah.
And that is like, I think 2 weeks after Liverpool. So that's just like super powerful. And then in Australia, I think they only have, in fact, Australia's conference is this week. That's why Lauren is on the call, because she's in Australia right now. So definitely, I totally agree with the fact that you're saying this vision is, I know when I've taken people to conference, I've sat there and I've been like, why don't I bring more people? And it's that idea of, is that regret. You're like, but why didn't I bring all my friends? And I think definitely conference just gives people so much belief. I've had people, the people that come with me to conference always join because they see the the social proof more than anything. And it's like the social proof, it's the belief, it's all these other stories that you get, the testimonials, just business and product ones, you know. It's not always just like it's not just kind of like led either way. You hear a bit of everything, and then you have someone talks about science, and you get panels and all these different angles. That a conference is just massive. I mean, I know in America they had Anaheim 2 months ago, which I know people, it was amazing. And it's kind of crazy because conference is something that I will always go to conference. Like, I actually hate that I found out conference clashes with one of the fashion weeks. I was like, I don't care, I'm going to conference. So I was like, no way. So I think definitely that's such good advice. It's such good 3 action points to take away from that, and they're so simple, you know. And this business is so simple, duplicatable, and we do overcomplicate it. Like, we're human, we like to do that. We like to make, because that looks so simple, you know, writing a list. So people are going to go, oh, but where do I get these people from? And your phone book is like the advice that I'd like to give everyone. Just go through your phone book, write down every single name, don't have any preconception. There's actually a list builder that Eric Worre does as well, so you can go and jog your memory if you like run out of names in your phone book and you only have 60 names, for example. So I think there's so many ways around it. It's just like you said earlier, James, like, how much do you really want to commit to your own success? And just making that decision and just taking it forward. So I'd really like to know, personally, this is my question to you. Does anybody have any questions as well? Please think of some questions, or it's just going to be me asking them. What do you see? Like, what is it that you're looking forward to most with this, with Juice Plus, and like your future and where you want to take it?
Well, okay, yeah. So what am I most looking forward to? I'm most looking for. Well, first of all, I'm really excited about the Tower Garden. So to my mind, that's going to be a complete game changer for us. I mean, it's already 10% of the sales in the US, and I think it's just going to be such an incredible catalyst for the growth of the business. So I absolutely love the Tower Garden. You know, to my mind, you know, I'm very excited about the continuing development of social media. So I'm beginning to get people now in my team that are beginning to get really serious progress now with social media, which I'm finding absolutely unbelievably exciting. And I think the third thing I'm most excited about is you know, the worldwide expansion. So, you know, I mean, we really are a minnow. I mean, you know, we are a minnow in the market, because we haven't moved into any of the really big markets. Obviously, we're in the US, of course, but we're not in China, we're not in India yet, you know. And I actually believe that the top earners yet to be sponsored. I really believe that. I absolutely believe that there will be someone who will outstrip Jeff.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, you just go to India. I mean, you know, the Indians and the Chinese. I mean, I'm going to China in August, and I mean, I'm so looking forward to it, because I just want to hoover up all that energy, that, you know, because that manic, crazy energy that they got there. You know, they're so keen to make progress and to make a mark in the world. That's
awesome. And I think that's such a good point to make as well, you know. But if you look at just Dubai, if you look at what's happened there, like opened Dubai in January, and it's just, it's gone crazy, and people are so excited by that. And it is true, like, you know, people go, oh wow, Juice was doing so well, and it's like, but we're only in 32 countries. Like, what's about to happen is insane. And I think now is such a good time. What you said earlier really made me think, like, in 5 to 10 years, like, where are you going to be, and are you going to be someone like, I actually this is probably a really good kind of thing to post on social media that I thought of last week, which you just made me think to share. Last Monday, I think it was, I wrote on Facebook, okay, that's it. I'm really serious about, I think it was even Tuesday I wrote it, I'm really serious about taking Model Me to the next level. I really want to go to bigger places. I really want to work with people that want to be known as the next 3 people that want to take Model Me to the next level. And that excitement alone, and if you don't have a brand, then my advice is, you don't have to use Juice Plus as a brand, and I recommend not on social media, but you can use yourself, your name as a brand. You know, as a model, my brand is me. That's my name. I don't have a brand name as a model. So you don't have to, you know, that idea of I don't have a brand is, don't let that be your excuse and the thing that stops you and doesn't drive you forward. Just find something that you like, or just, you know, talk about the fact that you are serious about taking your business to the next level, who wants to be the next 3 people that are known as being your partners in crime? Because off the back of that, that's how I got, the team, and we got 5 new people. 3 of them are frontline to me, and it's, it works.
3 of them are frontline to you. Wow.
Yeah, frontline.
What
so it works, that idea that we're going global. And I love that you said that. And I think that we all need to be very aware of that. Like, you can say to people, oh, I'm in 32 countries. Just because you don't have customers in 32 countries, it doesn't mean that you can't say you're part of something that does that. I think we all need to definitely big it up more and talk about it more. And we're opening Turkey and the Philippines and China, and it's going to happen. We're going to open those places. You just got to get really, I think, certain that that's going to happen. And I think James had such good value in terms of Juice Plus as a company, like where we've come from, the fact that you were with Juice Plus before they even were Juice Plus, which I think is so good, because you've really seen this grow. And you've been around the same time as like Cheryl Cortese and Jeffrey Bay, and like obviously they're Lauren's uplines, and it's so awesome, I think, listening to people that have been around from then, because I take so much inspiration from you guys, I think, more than the people that are coming through the ranks now, because you have really gone through that wave, that thing. Did it work? Did it not work?
Well,
and
Cheryl
I think
is
that
absolutely incredible, isn't she? I mean, really, she is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, I have
who sorry, did you say?
Cheryl Cortese.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for her. I mean, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. In fact, we're going to have her on one of our calls in a few weeks.
Are you?
She always jumps on, because obviously she's Lauren's direct upline, but I always try and like to get Cheryl back in on our calls. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I just could have her on every week. And I just think she adds such value every time. And
yes,
I'm sure Cheryl thinks, do you want me on again? But she's just so
calm,
wise, cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so calm, and yeah.
And it's just like, she just really, you can really feel like, I feel like if you introduce someone to her, you like, I think with a lot of people, especially with you guys, like I said, that have gone through the really big, you brought it to England, and really it wasn't until, you said, 9 years ago that it really rocketed. So like, what did you do for all those 20 years? That's what I think of. And then you just really add value. And I got to thank you so much for just coming on and really sharing with us what works for you. And it's so great, because what you gave us is so simple. And I hope that everybody can take from the call, like, this, guys, you can take away from this. You can just go and do those 3 tasks. And I mean, I've circled loads of things that I'm going to go and add right now.
That's great. Well, that's my pleasure. I mean, it's all very exciting, isn't it? And so are you going to start running events again in London, or are you going to be doing?
Yes, I meant to text you about that. So let me just, Rebecca, do you want to just stop the recording? I mean, I want the whole world to know about my London event.
All top secret now, yeah.